theme music?
Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
Good. Pull this on up. All right, I know I had an introduction in a little while, so that was pretty cool. But like she stated, I run a company called Reality Marketing Group, usually pretty branded myself, RMG. I kind of pretty much help companies, the synopsis help companies kind of brand themselves, develop their online presence, develop their entities they do use the brand, give out, things like that, as well as help with marketing strategies. Our primary goal, our primary focus is usually online presence, website development, methods in which you sell your brand, and so forth. So that's what Reality Marketing Group is. Some people say realty by accident, but it's reality. But really just helping others develop a plan and strategy to market and what that really means for them. As far as an overview, the topic I was asked to kind of talk about is the do's and don'ts of elevator pitches. How many of you guys had trouble coming up the elevator? That's the first question. Well, this is different. Lane talked about how I'm a member, and I'll talk about a little bit of the YP, and I have been since like 2011-ish, but this is big time. I got screens and everything. It wasn't like this when I first started.
New administration.
Somebody pretty cool in the front of the room. But but pretty much talking about presentations, the length, your approach on pitching. Making sure, and we'll talk about a little bit more, that you're pitching your ideas. We're talking a lot of, Cliff actually talked about networking within the room. Make sure that you're pitching and talking to people and not talking at them and throwing. And we'll talk about the difference between pitching and throwing your idea at people. And there's a big difference, and everybody knows when people are throwing. And really how to be succinct and how to really come off and present whatever you are doing, whether it be a brand or yourself. A lot of people are entrepreneurs and business owners in the room, but also people are marketing themselves to climb up the ladder, to go to the next step, whatever that may be in your company or on your own. So, and then another thing I'm going to talk about is just what problem is your company trying to solve? And a lot of people explain that as the why, like your why. What is your why? What are you solving? And how are you bringing something to the table that can help somebody do something? And that's really what your company or the company that you work for is doing. They're solving a problem, and they're making sure that they're doing that on a daily basis and bringing in revenue by doing so. Whatever that problem may be, that is what you need to know. What is that solving, or what are you solving? Another thing is just talking about carrying business cards, samples, and is that necessary? Of course, I think business cards are a very good thing to have, samples and so forth. We'll talk about that a little much further. And then just talking about time, and I don't have much time, so I don't want to hold y'all too much. Since I'm kind of presenting, I don't want to be the guy who bores. But yeah, we talked about who I am. I joined Urban Young Professional Round membership. When I was here, they'd probably tell me that's the wrong number. So I said 2011-ish is when I actually joined. And I'm very, very proud of that fact. Actually, that's kind of how I got engaged in the area. Kind of started my wheels to becoming a business owner and entrepreneur. So I believe that's a big part of me. I am an entrepreneur. I like to kind of call myself a marketer overall. If you would say one word, it kind of describes who I am. And also creative and web development and presence is really what I help individuals do. My overall background as far as what I used to do for a living also, I worked at Florida Citrus Sports. I'm currently now a member and hopefully helping with the community efforts that they have, but that's the new Camping World Stadium. We did a lot of branding to bring in new events, to bring in what is now the Pro Bowl is coming here, the kickoff that was the other day, kind of things and efforts like that is what I was helping to brand, market, and create at the time. All right, it's kind of dark, but that's Bill Gates. And really my overall
There we go.
ooh, I guess, I don't want to go to sleep.
I'll turn it back.
Nah, it's fine. Thank you. But really, my overall goal, and the reason why I have this quote on the board is, and I'll read it. As we look ahead into the next generation or the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. And Bill Gates stated that. And that's really what the synopsis of who I am. I really want to just continue to empower people and to empower businesses through marketing and continue to make sure that they grow and they're happy with what they're doing on a day-to-day basis in the long term and short term through whatever efforts that I can do. So hopefully I can be helpful to you guys and inspire others today through my presentation, and we'll go ahead and dive right into it. So, actually, you turn the lights back on. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. This is a very good question, I think. How is your pitch? So, how many people feel as if they have a pretty strong pitch, whatever they're pitching to people? Come on, so I know everybody will be confident. This is YP. 2 people confident in their pitch, okay? But and how many people are really proactive in continually practicing that pitch? I mean, I know we, like I said, Cliff kind of called out people to continually market themselves, which is what is called networking, and between each other. So how many people are continually proactive in practicing their pitch and going on? Everybody should really raise their hand because we're at a meeting in which that's kind of what we're facilitating, and that's why I love Urban League YP. And how many actually have, as we're going to talk about a little bit later, like presentations and or things that they really can actually showcase to someone, at any point in time about their business. That should be pretty much any small business owner or so forth like that. And in some form or fashion, you definitely have something that you could pitch, a form of pitching that, whether that be, a business card or literally the jargon and things that you talk about to market your business through speech. And are those items, the real question though is, are those items something that you're proud of? Is that something that you're proud of? And if and when it isn't, we need to backtrack to the other question about, are you continually practicing it? Are you continually putting forth the effort to master that? Are you really focusing on how you're branding, how you're marketing, how your pitch is? We're going to talk about something later, making sure that you have your brand in your hand. Whether that be, a business card. Everybody has their brand in their hand. You hand off your business card, you hope they call you back or whatever. But a handshake is also your brand in your hand. You're just meeting someone, you initiated some kind of conversation with them, and you had your brand in your hand. And you want to make sure whatever that brand is coming out of you, on your website, on your whatever it is making sure that they're showcasing that message, showcasing that why, showcasing several other things. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. All right, so what the blank is an elevator pitch anyway? Really honest. How many people actually engage in a conversation up the elevator today? 2 people. You did, right? 2 or 3 people. I mean, an elevator pitch, and the likelihood of you having an actual spiel on the elevator low, like this guy, he's trying to talk to her, whatever, everybody's looking at their phones, whatever, things like that. Elevator pitch, overall, everybody knows what we talked about a little bit. It's just your brand in your hand. I'm going to say that probably 1,000 times to be my statement that everybody walks away with, hopefully. But it's really the spiel that you do have, the 15, 30 seconds, 5 minutes. Hopefully you can engage somebody in a conversation in which lasts forever. You never know. But it's just that initial pitch that you do have and spiel that you do have for people. So, but how do you pitch yourself is really the key, no matter where you are, whether it be the elevator, whether it be in this room, and so forth. That's really what it's all about. And really, your how do you do is really what makes you who you are. How you present yourself, how do you do, hello sir, how are you doing, etc. is what is going to be the initial feel of your brand or your personal brand or whatever it might be. So, and how many actually, so how do you, so that really depends on, your pitch and your things like that really depend on how you display your brand, whether it's personal or company, and etc. So it's really about how you come off to people, like I was stating. Sorry, I got kind of mixed up there. But it's really about how you come off to people, your initial, shaking of the hands and so forth, having your brand there. And since I'm presenting, I'm going to continue to talk about, how to present and how to really have that energy that that matches what you're selling. So when you're talking to somebody, you're going to make sure that you are having that initial, conversation with them in a form or fashion that really presents the energy that you want to give off about your brand, about your, the initial spiel. So that's kind of one of the main keys about that. And when you're talking about pitching, or when you talk about how to present or the energy matching, is making sure that you're not only pitching, you're not throwing, you're pitching. And this is when we step into that. Because everybody, you guys know the guy who just pretty much talks about what he does all the time, right? What he does, how he is, he's throwing stuff at you, You don't want to be that person. And when we talk about that, in an earlier conversation and a presentation I had, maybe you guys have the time to check out, we talked about the chess, and that's talking about being succinct and having substance with your message. And the other letters, maybe you can check out on realitymg.com, but I have a speech about it, and it really talks about that and making sure that you're pitching and not throwing. So, sorry. Not sure. But yeah, and you want to be sensible in your speech, and talk to someone and not at them, like I was stating. So you want to be, when I say sensible, you want to make sure that you're not coming off in a way that's just you're talking, like I said, you're talking at someone and not talking to someone. You want to continue to step through the conversation. It's a dialogue. Your pitch is a dialogue. You throw the ball to the catcher, he throws it back, it starts over. That's how all pitches should be. No matter where you are, elevator, no matter where you are talking about your company, presenting, it's a dialogue, and we're talking about that today. So this is a cool quote, I think. Very simple in itself. It's by Albert Einstein. If you can't explain it simple, you don't understand it well enough. So I know a lot of people probably hear the guy who comes in the room and says, all the acronyms and all the stuff that they do and what they do. There's 3-letter acronym for everything. I walked up to ELV or something. There's always there's a 3. So you want to make sure within your pitch, not only is it something that you understand, but something that you can, because you're pretty much, when you have your hand in your brand, like imagine, he said, shake your hand, sir, going here. So that energy just went to him. So you want to make sure when we do, before and after that handshake, when we translate or go back and forth to each other, we're doing something, or I'm communicating to him in a fashion in which he can understand. That doesn't mean you're talking to a child or dumbing down anything you're saying, but you want to make sure that you're putting that into him, however that is. And that's what I think this particular quote says. It's pretty much making sure that whatever you're doing, when you leave that conversation and when you have your brand in your hand, and when we do have that conversation with that individual, that you're explaining it and making sure that they leave with the why. And they leave with the how and what you're doing in a way that they can understand it. You don't want to necessarily be just throwing stuff at them. I'm smarter than you. Here's this, here's that, blah, blah, blah. It's not necessarily what you want to be doing in your pitch. So if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. You don't have to, go deep into it for somebody to understand it or go into all the different acronyms and letters. You want to make sure that within your pitch and within your brand, you have statements that help that person to understand and want to learn more. And then when they go deeper, that's when you go, further into your conversations like that. All right. And this is the most key thing, period, the why. So you want to make sure you know what makes people tick. And that's really why people, buy products or buy anything. So this really answers that. What problem is your company trying to solve? And if and when you don't know that answer, that's a problem for yourself. You want to make sure that you're solving a problem for someone, because people don't invest in companies, people don't invest in things, people usually invest in people, So if you're pitching your brand and you're doing something that has no answer to why someone needs it or why it could help someone, why would they want it? How can it help me? How can it help me achieve my goals? How can it do, So everybody wants and everybody needs to have a why. So make sure you definitely don't X out the why. So in your company and your personal brand, everybody wants to know, how can you help me? And they're not saying that when you're talking, but you want to make sure that you're saying something in a form where you're helping someone. We innovate, we're uplifting. Whatever the words that you use are not very important, or not that important. It's more so making sure that you're coming off in a way with your spiel that make sure you know that you're helping someone, and they know that you're going to help them accomplish something. And that goes back to throwing. There's always the guy in the room who's saying, I do this, I do that, I do this, but he never said how he's going to help you accomplish, or never even cared, never even went into the why he does it or why it could be helpful to you. It's just, okay, I'm important, I'm nice, whatever, I did this, I did that, and you leave and you didn't handshake and give something to someone. Every handshake and every hand and every brand in the hand is like, here, I'm this, I'm giving this to you. Take it from me, and hopefully it helps you. That's exactly why you're conversating and talking or conversing with individuals, is to not only give off your brand, but to help them accomplish something. And then they can take away and they'll put that brand in their pocket, and then they'll have something to remember. Because if that isn't charged with something, if that particular branding that you just handed off isn't charged with something, isn't charged with a why, or isn't charged with okay, they can help me do this, then therefore it'll just go right out the back pocket into the trash. Everybody knows that guy who hands them a flyer, and they go straight like this. That can't help me. That's exactly what you do not want to be. You want to make sure that is charged with a why. And the why is what's going to make you sell something to somebody. And because people invest in people. But I think it's very important to be succinct with your why. Make sure that you are, you're very succinct with that. It should be a short statement. It should be relatively brief. And that's why I think that it was stated as an elevator pitch, because you only get a few seconds to really come off to somebody. That initial 10 to 15 seconds where you're meeting somebody and you already started daydreaming because they're not even engaging. They're not answering a question that you wanted to answer when you talk to them, stuff like that. So that's really why you want to make sure that you're succinct. And the two S's in chess are succinct as well as substance. So in those 2, 10, 5, whatever the number is, minutes or seconds, you want to make sure that you're giving them substance specifically targeted. So when I say that, we're talking about pitches, right? Everybody, anybody here plays a sport or has played a sport? I didn't say it was good at a sport, I meant played a sport. All right. So when you do, being succinct and being succinct really means that everybody knows when you play basketball, there's pretty much a form, right? A form to throw the basketball and how to do it, right? And how to pitch. Like if I were to, I can throw you the ball like this. Some people are good at throwing it like this, but there's a succinct way in which I can communicate to you far more accurately if I do it this way. So you want to make sure that succinct way that you're doing and however the form makes the most sense for how you're going to deliver it to individuals or individuals that you speak with. So that's really what being succinct and having substance really means when it comes to pitching your ideas and pitching who you are or your company. All right. So when I talk about substance, here's a pretty cool quote. Anybody use Evernote or maybe using Evernote right now? Using Evernote right now. So CFULYP is the CEO of Evernote. And there's a lot of bad reasons to start a company, he said. But there's only one good, legitimate reason, and I think you know what it is. It's to change the world. So in that particular message, what it says is it has to have substance to change, to change something, to do something, to motivate people. We once heard, clearly we heard from Bill Gates, we also hear from CFULYP, talking about having substance, making sure that you're doing things, making sure that you're motivating people is very key to your message and key to your spiel. When you're walking up the elevator, you have a few seconds to really change that person's day or change that person's life, whatever it may be. And you want to make sure that you're very succinct and you have a lot of substance with that message, with that spiel. So that's very key. But once again, are you throwing or are you pitching? And that's we've talked about it a little bit just now. I've talked about it towards you guys. And are you throwing or are you pitching? Are you just giving out information or are you listening? Are you starting a conversation? That's two different things. Giving out the information or throwing it at somebody and pitching are two different things. You want to make sure that you are giving the substance to them or giving something that they can take away from and have that brand in your hand. And is your brand ready for opportunities? We're talking about that. When I say that, I'm going to elaborate more into business cards and things like that. Everybody here have a business card of some sort or some kind of takeaway? Okay. What about samples of their product or anything like that? Do samples on it? Okay. My thing, as far as business cards, everybody should pretty much have a business card at this point. That's just a standard thing. But having a business card isn't necessarily what makes your brand or what makes
Hi.
Like,
Hi, everybody. You're doing great, Rick. Sorry.
No, it's all good. More than weird. But we're just talking about, for those that just walked in, we're talking about, I'm talking about an elevator pitch. So we're really going in more depth. Or do you throw or do you pitch when it comes to your ideas and your branding and talking to somebody? And we're talking about making sure that you are pitching in the form of some of these items. And everybody said that they have a business card. I'm pretty sure the 5 to 7 people or however many, inaccurate with the number that just walked in, probably have business cards as well. As far as samples and things, that was one of the questions that was in my speaking points, because I'm not really a super fan of that, and that's why it says because we have business cards and you talk to somebody, usually it's very unlikely that, who has a PowerPoint presentation right now? Has something they can pull out. Of course you do, you're about to speak. But think about the opportunities in which you'll have to really pass out samples or do stuff like that. Of course, when it's appropriate, everyone should have samples of this stuff, everyone should have a portfolio, etc. But really having that brand in your hand, whether it be a handshake, or like I stated, or just talking to someone, you want to make sure that that particular spiel, that elevator's pitch, is so accurate that you hand off the business card and they remember that, so therefore they then later on, and that's what you want to have this later. This is a step, from business cards to samples, websites, whatever it may be, to then go further. So making sure that you do have the prior slides and making sure that you are succinct and that you have substance in your message. And then that should lead to your sample. I don't know if anybody, has a pull-up banner and walks around with, oh, here's my stuff. But I'm sorry, that's kind of a to me, or to me. You really just want to have a brief spiel, on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And that should lead to further, because you did, pitch, you didn't throw. So a pitch is for a reason. It's accurate and it serves a purpose, And the reason why it's called pitch to me, maybe I just made this up, but you continually pitch. You're accurate with the pitch. You throw back and forth to the catcher. And if and when you throw good pitches, the more pitches you throw that are good, you get more chances at bat, correct? So therefore you have more chances to knock it out the park with other businesses, with other people you do business to business with. So throwing that pitch accurately is what's going to get you at bat and put you in the right places to hit it and knock it out the park. So you want to make sure that it is accurate, that you are putting your brand in your hand and you're pitching and not throwing. So this particular quote had to end it with a beautiful black woman, But I feel that luck is preparation meeting opportunity. Oprah Winfrey, just an innovator. I think that placing yourself in these opportunities, and I was just talking, Samuel is your name, right?
Yes.
So I was speaking with him earlier, we were talking about things like this, meetings like this in itself are creating those opportunities. Continually preparing to be in opportunities like this is what allows you to then practice and create what is, quote unquote, your luck. You're going to run into individuals that, you can pitch your idea to, talk to, engage in conversation, continue to cultivate your brand and things that you're going to be doing. But you want to make sure that you're putting yourself in those places to pitch. You don't pitch from first base. You pitch from the pitching mound. So if you're continuously putting yourself on the pitching mound, you're more than likely going to be continually pitching accurately or correctly. So that's what really this particular quote means to me. So overall, to walk away, just make sure that you're pitching and not throwing. Make sure that you're not just coming in to the gym doing this to people. You're accurate, you're giving them the ball so they can make good shots. And when they make more points, they want you to have the ball more because you're passing it to them. And that's kind of how it is. I like to compare things to sports, but make sure that you're pitching and not throwing. Make sure that you're solving the problem, and that's where your substance is. If you're succinct in your passes, make sure that you're passing it to that person to shoot the three, because that helps them score points. That's the key. So make sure that you're succinct and that you have substance. And then also, as far as the items that you're using, that's up to you how you do it, whether it's your business card or whether it's just your pitch and you're just talking to individuals. It's really about the things prior to that. It's about the conversation that comes after or comes during that gets you the conversation after. It's not really necessarily about you walking around with samples or you pulling out your portfolio and saying, here's what I did. It's really, here's why I do it and here's how it can help you. So that's really pretty much my whole thing on pretty much your elevator pitch. And hopefully you kind of walk away with the whole brand in your hand, as well as, you know, making sure that you're not pitching. I mean, you're not throwing, but you're yet pitching your ideas and pitching your innovative ways. And hopefully you can as well, or hopefully you can help individuals, which therefore innovates and changes the world. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for the opportunity, Kristen, for letting me speak as well. Presidents, Madam President, definitely came a long ways. YP has. It's pretty cool to be standing up in front. First, I know
we're so proud of you.
Yeah.
We're so proud of you.
I definitely want to continue to push urban young professionals, individuals that aren't members in the room. I want to definitely market that hopefully this is giving you guys a good pitch right here, just continually coming to events like this and being engaged in not only the community but with your individuals that are like-minded. So hopefully you definitely love it, and I'm pretty sure it was the membership guy. We'll talk to you later more. But all right.